Alright, so we're going to go over copying frames out of a specific animation track and putting them into a brand new track of their own. It's pretty simple. First thing we got to do is open up an animation. So we want that to say animated and replace the current scene. I'm just going to jump right in here and grab the turtle. Now this is Psionics turtle. It's nice and simple. Good animation to use as a base or a comparison and testing. Here we have the root selected. Now down here, something new that's changed. Every time you grab a new entity or a new animation track, you're going to want to click first animation and last animation. What that does, it also sets the start and end pointers to the beginning and end of the current animation track. And you'll see here, once you've clicked the end is currently sitting at 150 frames. So if we click start, our little pointer is going to run along this line and show us the frames there. And if you see they're all red, that's because there's no keyframes in the root. I like to work with the entity that has keyframes, and I happen to know the pivot has keyframes. So when we come back down here, you're going to see it's going to flash green a few times. I'm just going to do this here. Green means that that's a keyframe. Okay? You can move a frame at a time just by using these left and right, and you can right click to jump between keyframes instead of just a frame. Now this particular pivot here only has one track. If you see, it won't go above 0. So what we want to do here is select a section that looks kind of unique, and we're going to make it into a new track. So let's see here. Okay, so there's our turtle just sitting there. So I'm going to right click, and that sets the start marker there. And you see the start marker's gone bright green because it's a keyframe. If it was dark blue, it's not a keyframe, so it doesn't really matter, so I'll just leave it there. Now to set the end marker, you need to hold down shift while right clicking. So we want to find something here. So we've got our fellow landing there, sticking his neck out, jumping over and flipping. Okay, so from here, up in the air, over, on his back, right side round. Okay, so let's get alright, let's see if we can find a frame that I like. Okay, he's taken off again. So we see that right there looks good. So hold down shift, and there we go. Now you can only select frames that are between your markers, and you can only play, what you play only loops between those. So if we click play here, it's just going to loop our selection. So flip over and stick the neck out. That's what we've got here. Now we want to make that a new track. Now all that we have to do is click that. We've created a new animation track index number 1 in this pivot. So only this pivot here and all its children will have this new track. Okay, now he's going a little bit nuts. Don't worry about that. Just simply set first track to the first track. Right click there, that sets the end track to the true end track. It's only 27 frames now, see? When you press start, it's just going to play, flip over and stick the neck out, just like we'd expect. We're in track 1. If we go back to track 0 and press start, it's only going to play the first 27 frames. You have to remember to reset the end and the start points whenever you change tracks. Now it'll play the whole animation again. If we want to go to the next track and you push start, it's going to appear to work just fine, simply because there's more frames between the endpoint and this actual frame this actual track contains, but it's still good practice just to double click that there and double click that there, and now the markers actually are the full size of this. Okay, so that's pretty simple. We opened up a P3D animation, we've marked out a cycle that we want, and now we're going to save this out Okay. So we go here to save as. Now I've already done this once before, but I'm just going to replace it. Yep. And yeah, we want to save the textures with it. So that's done. While this loads here, we're going to replace this to just test. Something I'm just going to mention while I'm doing this. The again, animated and replaced. I'm doing this on my XP rig because my recording software doesn't do a good job of recording the application and the animated window at the same time. It can do one or the other, but not the both. So I'm Windows 7, so we're going to do this in XP so you can see it. Anyhow, so here's our fellow. He's loaded. When something loads by default, it'll play the default track, track 0, without any markers. But still, you can come down here and set those markers, and then start them up again, and he'll play what you could expect. The default, or the root entity, only has one track. If you'll see here, it's only 0. But if we come in here, the base goes to track index 1, which is the second track. And remember to double click here. It's only 27 frames. Press start, and lo and behold, there's our sliced out, I guess we'll call it flip cycle. It could be a walk cycle, it could be what have you, depending on the animation you're working with. And we'll get into that later. I just wanted to show you quickly how this all works. And I'm going to wrap it up there now. Thanks for watching. Again, that's import a B3D with animation, cut the animation into specific tracks that are the cycles that you want. So when you load it again in your Nuclear Fusion powered program, you can simply specify that track rather than having to keep a record of which frames to jump between for which cycle. You only have to pick a track in Nuclear Fusion. Anyhow, again, thanks for watching.